Hi, so this is the first of hopefully many talks on the theme of Western psychology, Buddhist contemplative practice, somatic psychology, and neuroscience. And I'll hopefully be putting out these videos from time to time. I thought I'd start this series of videos with a pet peeve of mine. And this pet peeve, it's a saying or it's a meme, if you will, that's popular in certain spiritual scenes, certain pop psychology scenes, certain law of attraction scenes. And this phrase or this meme is thoughts create your reality. Thoughts create your reality. And the reason I find this meme so annoying and damaging is many reasons, and I'm going to go into many of them in this video. But first is this idea that thoughts are metaphysical, that thoughts are somehow devoid of biology, that they're not part of, I don't know, my respiration, they're not part of my body, that thoughts are somehow floating up in the ether, and then I can change them at will to suit my own needs. And that's the second part I find pretty annoying, is this idea that if I can change my thinking structures, then I can bend reality to my will. I can make reality what I want it to be if I just switch up the cognitions in my brain. And I find that somewhat narcissistic and scary, frankly. People entertaining that notion that they can shape reality um, based on their own impulses. Uh, some people might think that's a good idea, but history has shown us that it is really a bad idea trying to bend reality to our own whims. Thoughts create reality. That notion ignores what reality is. Reality is that we are in a human body, and this human body is vulnerable, and existence is chaotic and messy and violent and dangerous and beautiful and heartbreaking. And this whole idea that I can hang out in my intellect and somehow bypass all of that is at the core of what is called in Buddhism as a spiritual bypass, bypassing our felt sense, our trauma, our unfinished business of the heart by hanging out in the rational brain. I believe that this phrase, this meme, thoughts create your reality. It is just the latest in a string of bad ideas stretching back to the 16th century. First organized by a Western philosopher by the name of Descartes. And Descartes had the term cogitu ergo sum. Cogito ergo sum, which is Latin for I think, therefore I am. And this particular Western myth is almost is one of the fundamental organizing myths of Western civilization. This is the beginning of the departure of the rational brain from the instinctual brain. An elevation of the cognitive aspect of being a human as the end all be all of human existence, or the highest expression of humanity is to be able to think well, or I think, therefore I am. And it's almost putting the seat of self in the thinking process. Interesting to note, the 16th century was the peak of the witch trials, of the burning of the witches at the stake when they showed any semblance of the body or eros. So in this Cartesian split, the intellect is separated from the instinctual self. And the instinctual self includes intuition, it includes desire, it includes messy emotions, all of that earthy intuition. And those were the people that got burned at the stake, mostly women, but also men. But the ones manifesting the earthiness, the juice, they got killed. And the ones that were doing that, they had to be in the closet. And meanwhile, the really heady folk got to run the show and organize all of these systems that we now find ourselves in. Ooh, it reminds me of a saying from E.O. Wilson, a biologist, entomologist, biologist. He said, "We human beings, we have Paleolithic nervous systems, medieval institutions, and godlike power." And that's what we're working with now. Godlike power, he was referring to nuclear weapons. Paleolithic nervous systems, meaning we have these instinctual bodies and selves. And then we have these medieval institutions that are like trying to squeeze us human beings into little boxes and cut us off from the neck up. Whoa. So perhaps now you can start to get a sense of why I find it so annoying that this Cartesian duality has crept its way into alleged self-help, self-growth modalities, where in my view it's just doubling down on the basic pathology most of us have inherited, this departure of wisdom, the wisdom of the body, this departure of the intellect from the juicy feminine intuitive reality of having a body. So if we switch gears a bit and critique this Cartesian duality or thoughts create your reality from a Buddhist perspective, the from a Buddhist perspective, it wouldn't be I think, therefore I am. It would be something more like I have this vast universe of somatic experiences in my body. I have, just wild experiences of heat and tingles and expansion and vibration and champagne and in some meditative experiences the body can like disappear into 1,000 sparkles of light and then recoalesce into a beam of love, stuff like that. So I have these body sensations, which is a whole universe. I have mental images where I can close my eyes and I could, right now I'm in Seattle, but I can close my eyes and all of a sudden I'm in Hawaii surfing a big wave, or Portugal, looking at Nazare, or any my imagination, the ability to see and see images is infinite, really. Uh, from a Buddhist perspective, too, we have archetypal energies that inhabit us for a time. Carl Jung would call this the collective unconscious, that from time to time we can be possessed by certain energies that all human beings share. For a time, we could become a king or a queen, or we could become a joker or a court jester, or sometimes we get shot by Cupid and we are drunk in love. We turn into Dionysus, the god of wine, and just, yeah. Um, so there's that aspect to our human experience as well. And then we have the five sense doors. We have tasting, touching, smelling, seeing, hearing. We have all of that. And we have thoughts. But in a Buddhist framework, thoughts are just one little bit of our vast human experience. Um, One of the cool things about the Buddhist approach is that through training and meditation and getting in the right container for this work, which classically is a silent meditation retreat, one can, through meditation, turn off the thinking muscle for a time And one doesn't do that through will, by the way, but that's a longer story. But I've personally experienced immense stretches of time on Buddhist meditation retreats, hours, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, with very little thinking. The thinking process was just not around. It was just not relevant. And it's not like, I don't know, it's just a black void when there's no thinking. There's everything else. Thinking is overrated. There's, I don't know, Buddhist retreat. You eat a piece of raw broccoli and the mind is so sensitive, you just have like an orgasm eating raw broccoli, and it's just like the universe of taste and of association. It's just endless. It's beautiful. Yeah, so the Buddha probably would say thoughts are like 1%, bro. What are you fetishizing thoughts for? They're just so ethereal. And another Buddhist notion would be that thoughts are a terrible place to plant your flag of self. Terrible place. Why? Because thoughts are always changing. In fact, through meditation, you can start to hone in on like how fast thoughts are changing. Like, yeah, you're thinking, oh, I'm a good meditator. Oh, what's for lunch? Oh, I wonder if she likes me. Oh, she doesn't like me. Should I call her? No, I'm texting too much. Blah, blah, blah. And there's just this string of thoughts that are arising and passing in the here and now, almost like a slideshow. And so it's very stupid to plant your flag. Oh, that thought is me, because that thought's going to be come and gone in no time. Oh, that thought's me. So thoughts aren't you. I think, therefore I am. That's a bunch of bullshit. Don't listen to that. Um, this Buddhist framework also aligns with modern day neuroscience understanding of thoughts and their role within the greater human biology, psychobiological framework. So, from that psychobiological framework, um, there's this very interesting study where patients who had their corpus callosum cut back in the 80s, I believe. There used to be a procedure to cut the corpus callosum, which separates the two hemispheres of the brain for patients with grand mal seizures, so that the seizure wouldn't travel from one side of the brain to the other. So these patients had very wild experiences because their brains were separated. So a person could be sitting here, and a researcher would sit here and say to the person, "Oh, could you please laugh for me?" And then the researcher would walk over here and stand here, and then the researcher would ask the patient, "So why are you laughing?" And the patient would say, "Oh, you said something funny." And then the researcher would stand here and say, "Oh, wave for me." And then the researcher would walk back over here, and then the researcher would say, "Why are you waving?" And the patient would say, "Oh, because I saw someone I knew." So in other words, in neuroscience, the left brain is just making up narratives to try to make sense of our experience. It's just making shit up. In psychology, this is called attribution theory, that we have this primal instinct as humans to try to explain why we're feeling like we feel. And that explanation is often not in line with reality at all. It's just bullshit. Um, Part of the reason for this is that not having an explanation is a very uncomfortable experience. And so the brain is just going to start throwing out narratives to try to match reality, to try to explain it somehow. And some of these narratives are very damaging, like, oh, I'm unhappy because women, or I'm unhappy because immigrants, I'm unhappy because the weather. And if we really get down to it, that's probably not why. It might be because I don't know, you haven't slept in a month. or you eat like shit. Who knows? Okay, so another framework from this psychobiological approach is that thoughts are arising out of our physiology. So our deeper brain stem, limbic system, autonomic nervous system processes are informing our thoughts. Uh, what's another way to put that? Yeah, so from this framework, thoughts are just post hoc narratives trying to explain these underlying nervous system states. So, nervous system states, there's three main ones that tend to color our thinking with less than ideal narratives. And those three nervous system states, you might have heard of them. They are fight, they are flight, and they are freeze. Fight and flight, freeze. Fight would be, I'm angry. Flight would be, I'm anxious. And freeze would be, I'm really sad and depressed and overwhelmed. Um, And these nervous system states have thinking patterns that go along with them. Very common thinking patterns. And you can almost like, if you're in a particular state, you could actually probably look in a book and read phrases that explain your thinking out of Stephen Porges's polyvagal theory. So if someone, for example, is in a freeze response, and a freeze response is just like feeling overwhelmed by life, just feeling overwhelmed to the point of dissociation, and I'm kind of mirroring it now. There's a heaviness in the face and a collapse in the body. And very common thinking patterns from this state are, oh man, it's too much. Oh, I'm just not good enough. I can't. This is depression. Um, I can't, and a really sticky one about the free state is, oh, this is going to last forever. It's always going to be this way. I'm always going to feel like this right now. But you're just in a state. It's just a state, and then the thoughts are bubbling out of that state. The thoughts are just the high-hanging fruit arising out of the hot springs of biophysiology. All right, so that's probably enough for the first video. More videos to come. This was a critique of Cartesian duality and why it's a really bad idea to mix that with spirituality, and probably a bad idea to mix that with any large system, be it capitalism or patriarchy or whatever you want to mix that with. The departure of the mind from the body. Let's bring it all with us and unite them and have a good time. Have a great day.